Okay. Okay, good evening. My name is Irv Rosenfeld. I'm at the Home of Medicine here in Ann Arbor. Right, I had to think, what city? This is Lansing? No, okay. Hey, look, I'm from Florida, okay, so I don't know these things. Anyway, my claim to fame is I'm the longest surviving of the 4 final federal medical cannabis patient in the United States. And if y'all have been smoking any today, and if y'all can say that 10 times without stuttering, then you're not as high as you think you are. So, anyway, I came into Michigan for several reasons, but the most important reason was to go to your state house in Lansing and meet with different state representatives, different senators, different chief of staffs for senators, trying to make them realize that there are certain bills that they're thinking of trying to pass that are not logical. And the main one was Senate Bill 977, which was trying to take away glaucoma from one of the disorders that medication for cannabis would be allowed for. So I think we were successful. We'll find out in the next several days if we were. Also, I was here for the opening of the Robert C. Randall Memorial Wellness Center that was in Lansing. And Robert Randall was the first patient. He received his medical cannabis for glaucoma in 1976. It's because of what he did that I was able to become the second patient, then L.V. Musika, the third patient in 1988. I became a patient in 1982. I've been getting 10 to 12 cannabis cigarettes a day for 30 years. And it's what's opened it up nationwide to where here I'm standing in Michigan in a dispensary that is giving out, is allowing patients to come in here and to procure medical cannabis. And so when Bob and I started this in the 70s, all we cared about was getting medicine in the hands of patients. And I like to feel like today, again, it's almost 35 years later, 30 years later for me, we've done a good job, but we haven't done a good enough job because, again, only 40% are under state laws that have the right to use medical cannabis. And the feds can still come in and stop them. So what we all need to do is still work diligently to try to educate, it's always education, our opposition, because they are intelligent, at least they seem to act it, or try to think they are, but try to educate them to the benefits of medical cannabis and to why it's important for us to never forget that this was a medicine from 1860 to 1937. And it was during those years that there wasn't a strong lobby organization of the pharmaceutical industry, of the lumber industry, of the petrochemical industry, of the prison industry. No, all people cared about was helping patients. So our medicines back then in those years had cannabis in it. 70% of our medicines had cannabis in, mostly in tincture form, manufactured by Merck, Eli Lilly. It was also in our foods. And 100 years ago, we didn't have people with Crohn's. We didn't have people with lupus. We didn't have all these autistic kids. Gee, I wonder why that's all happened. Oh, it must just be a coincidence. They took cannabis out of our diets since 1937, and now we have all these diseases we didn't have before, but maybe it's global warming. Maybe that's what's doing it, No, I don't think so. It's cannabis. So I know I'm right. Okay, I'm living proof. The federal government has never wanted to study me, and I've been getting it from the feds for 30 years. What does that tell you when the feds said we need more research? No, what they mean is we need more prohibition because we need to have the pharmaceutical companies make the money. We need the petrochemical companies to make the money. We need the lumber industry to make the money. Okay, we need the prison industry to make the money. Okay, so cannabis, oh well, it might help patients, but we'll make more money if we don't really help the patients and they have to keep doing our drugs. Okay, so that's what we really want to see. So I'm happy to be here in Michigan. I'm happy to be in a state where it's legal, where when I go outside and light up, theoretically, I'm not the only one doing it in this state, like I am in my home state of Florida, or the state I grew up in Virginia. So I'm hoping that with the election coming up in November, that we have even more states that will pass medical cannabis, also potentially legalization. And as a patient, all I care about is medicine in the hands of patients. So people ask me how I feel about legalization. And the only thing I really say about legalization is, well, if you had legalization, then I guess that would mean that patients would have the right to get it. And that's what I'm in favor of, is patients having the right to get it. So that's important to me. That should be important to everybody. Something else I'm involved in is called Patients at a Time. We're the only organization in the country that's sanctioned by the American Medical Association, the American Nurses Association, the two largest medical organizations in the country, to teach doctors and nurses about medical cannabis. Now, if it wasn't a medicine, why would the AMA or the ANA want their doctors and nurses to learn about medical cannabis? So when your opposition says, well, it's not a medicine, ask them, first of all, where they got their medical degree from. And second of all, ask them if they know more than the AMA or the ANA. Also, people listening to this tonight, the Veterans Administration. Patients at a Time has gotten the Veterans Administration to come out tolerating cannabis. If you're a veteran in this country and you're using opiates for pain, be it from a war, be it for whatever reason, they're going to do a urinalysis on you. And if you test positive for metabolites of cannabis, and you're in a state such as, thank God, Michigan, or the 16 other states, then you're okay. They're not going to worry about it. But if you're in my home state of Florida or my home state of Virginia or the other states where it's not legal, and you test positive and you're a veteran, well, guess what? They're going to instruct their doctors to start withholding treatment. So therefore, if you're a politician or if you're an individual in this country in a state where it's not legal, you go to your politicians and you ask your politician, Mr. Politician, why are you against our veterans? And of course they're going to say, well, we're not against veterans. Can't be. And that's when you point this out, that yes, you are. There's second-class citizens in this country in the states where it's not legal. So if it's not legal in your state, then you are condemning veterans. Also, I'm a member of an organization called the Silver Tour. The Silver Tour we started here in South Florida. Well, in South Florida where I live, not here. But anyway, it's an organization to teach senior citizens about the benefits of medical cannabis. And we've just produced our first 30-minute infomercial, Should Grandma Smoke Pot? And basically, again, it's to educate senior citizens about the benefits of medical cannabis, to make them realize that's a viable situation. So for everybody out there, www.silvertour.org, we need money. Send your donations, and what your donations do is it helps us buy time on TV for Should Grandma Smoke Pot? And so I think this is a way to educate a part of the population that has been forgotten. There are no organizations out there that are catering to senior citizens. They're the forgotten people. But yet in the election for Prop 19 in California, 65% voted against it. So to sum it up, I'm here, I'm real. Here is my tin can that I get from the federal government. Right here, here's a marijuana. It says marijuana cigarettes. It gives the quantity. It gives the weight of each cigarette. It gives the weight of the glue. It says when it was packaged. Now, this is my most recent. This was packaged March of 2001. So this cannabis is 11 years old. It's been frozen and given to me, okay, for medical use. And while it works and is adequate, needless to say, I think stronger or more up-to-date medicine would probably work better. But again, I'm very thankful to have these 300 cigarettes every 25 days. And anybody out there, of course, for me to travel costs money. And what I use for funding is, besides my book, which I'm going to show you in a second, is these empty tin cans. Anybody who'd like to get one of these collector's items, contact me or somebody here and they know how to get in touch with me, and we sell these for a minimum of $420. Okay, so this would be something that would be, again, a very collector's item, but also very important for lawyers. Because if you have a client that, let's say, is caught with 4 pounds, and they go, well, it was possession with intent to distribute. And the patient's saying, well, wait a minute, no, it's not intent to distribute because this is what I need until my next crop comes in. And you could hold up this tin can and say, hey, Irvin gets 9 ounces every month. 9 ounces. So how much is 4 pounds? Compared to 9 ounces, it's about a 4 or 5 month supply. So it's something that a lawyer would be able to use and to their benefit. Also, here is my book called My Medicine, How I Convinced the U.S. Government to Provide My Marijuana and Help Launch a National Movement. And again, this gives you the entire history of the medical marijuana movement in this country, as seen through my eyes, the longest surviving patient. This will give you the history of the entire movement. It'll give you my history. But more important, it'll teach you why you got to where you are today and how you got to where you are today in Michigan. This will give you the ammunition to not only help the choir, but help the people that are against you. And I'm talking about your parents, your grandparents, They don't understand. Read this book. They will understand. If they don't, there'll be a card in there with my phone number. They can call. I'll help them understand. Okay? So, what I do for a living. What's that? Oh, yeah, where you get the book. Yeah, okay, where you get the book. Here's the book. And where you can order a signed copy is www.mymedicinethebook.com. Repeat, www.mymedicinethebook.com. We're on Facebook and also on Kindle, which is important. Now, last but not least, it's been very beneficial for me to use this medicine all these years. I'm alive because of it. And so therefore, I've always tried to help others. And it makes me feel better. When somebody can make something good come out of something bad, it makes you feel better. So to all the people in the state that are hearing this or seeing this, or even other parts of the country, especially the people that are really out front, the people that are running the wellness centers, the people that are running the cooperatives, the people that are running dispensaries, they're the ones sticking their neck out, okay, and trying to help patients. And a lot of people think that, they're in it for the money. Well, you know something? It used to be that way. But now with regulations the way it's been, and with the taxes and the licensing fees and everything else, Uncle Sam, the state, everything that you've got to deal with, I take my hat off those people because they're in the front lines. And they're the ones that are procuring the medicine and arranging for patients to get clean, good medicine at the best prices possible. And so to them, I take off my hat. I appreciate what you're doing. And hopefully one day we'll be able to do it in all 50 states. Now, are there any questions from the Peanut Gallery? Yes, Mr. Peanut, Miss Peanut. No.
I have a question. Out of, say, 100 advocates out there, or let's say just marijuana users, how many out of 100 know of you or the federal program?
The question is, if there were 100 people, say at a facility such as Harborside in Oakland, which is what I did a book signing, of the every 100 people that walk in, how many would know that there's a federal program? My guess is it would be 30. Meaning 30% of the entire choir, now this is the choir, not population, the choir, would know that the federal government gives out marijuana to select patients. And that's why the federal government's done such a good job keeping it illegal, because they don't even know that I or the other 3 patients exist. Any other questions? Okay.
Is the silver tour coming to Michigan at all?
It cost us about $3,000 to be able to bring the show here. We could do Bobby Platshore and I would be the 2 people traveling, and then the rest of the people, the medical staff that we'd pick up, the law enforcement official, the lawyers, we'd get them locally, so it wouldn't cost as much. But it would cost us about $3,000. It's cheaper right now. That's why we did Should Grandma Smoke Pot. We'd rather see you put that money in to buying time to show Grandma. Because for what we could do for an hour-and-a-half show, for $3,000, we could show Grandma probably 200 times for 30 minutes apiece.
Once the grandma approves of this medicine, then it's okay for everybody to have this.
Well, the important aspect is that Grandma needs to know about it, and they don't. Okay, that's the important aspect. Yes, sir.
What are the federal regulations regarding the medical marijuana patients on the federal program and driving?
Okay, well, that's kind of simple. I am allowed to operate dangerous machinery as long as I'm not intoxicated. That's the way my federal protocol calls for. So therefore, i.e., I get no euphoric effect. Therefore, I drive, and I'm legally allowed to drive. If I get pulled over anywhere in the country, I pull up my protocol, I show them the protocol, because they always say you can't drive with this, and I show them the federal protocol, and federal law supersedes any state law, and I go, here it is, am I intoxicated to you? And not once has an officer ever said, yes, you are. If they did, which they have the right to, that's their job. If they did, I would say, officer, is your dash camera working? Because I need proof to show that you are mistaken, that I am not intoxicated. So I would make sure of that, but no officer's ever done that. Okay, so I'm allowed to drive. Now, Barbara Douglas cannot leave her house. She doesn't with MS, so she doesn't drive, and she can't see very well at all from MS, so she would never drive. George McMahon lives in Iowa, and George, again, drives a little bit around there. But he's real sick, can't really leave his house much, but he does drive a little bit around the country roads of Iowa. I mean, he's not big city highway or anything like that. Now, the real problem we have is with Elvie. Elvie, as you know, can barely see. But she gets behind the wheel all the time, smoking a joint in one hand, the wheel in the other. And no, I'm afraid Elvie can't see either, so Elvie can't drive. So the point is there are 4 of us federal patients, and I'm the only one that drives. Legally, I have the right. So again, the federal government has never bothered me ever. My driving record is perfect, over the 30 years that I've had this. So it hasn't been a concern.
Excellent.
Yes.
Wonderful to hear.
Yes.
I saw a field sobriety test, or heard of we watched a court case. A person had a genetic condition involving tumors at the end of the long bones. They had to grind them off once in a while. Had one leg that was 2 inches shorter than the other. And the police officer insisted on us conducting a sobriety test and said he failed the heel-to-toe walk. And then after he was done with that, he did okay with the heel-to-toe stuff, but it was the turnaround that he failed. And then asked him to stand on one leg, and he just laughed, and he said, "Which one do you want me to try?"
Well, that sounds very similar to my disorder because, again, I have bone tumors on the end of long bones that can only be cut off or cut out, and I have a 3/4 inch deviation between my legs. Well, that says it wrong. Between the length of my legs.
Introduce the two of you.
Okay, that's better. Okay.
It's been counting.
Keep a mouth shut.
All right.
Oh, leave it open.
Any other questions?
I got one. Please explain the quality of your medication as compared to medication people find in a dispensary or from their caregiver.
The federal government does not agree that cannabis is a medicine. Therefore, they've never grown it properly or put a lot of effort into growing a high strain. So therefore, my medicine is a lower strain. It's a Mexican-Jamaican blend. It's about 3.2% THC. So the quality is nothing near what you would find in a dispensary. However, it is adequate. It does work. And the fact that it works, I'm thankful to get it. I'm thankful every day. I thank God that I have it. So therefore, while it's not the best quality, it works. So therefore, I'm very appreciative of it. Yes. Well, any other questions? Well, I think that might be all. I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Hopefully y'all can use this over and over again, and hopefully y'all will be very strong in being educated and talk to your representatives. Get out there, be known, be heard, and support, again, the people that support you. Good evening.